What's up, guys? Fortune here with Jackalmen Games, joined as always by Karma.
What's up, guys?
Alright, so today we are bringing you a look at the Obi-Wan starter deck. I took the list from the Hyperloop's website. They grabbed it after Team Covenant, I believe, spoiled the two starter sets. And I do want to mention that in this particular deck we are missing a card, so we're at 19 out of 20, because one of the cards was not properly spoiled and we didn't actually get to see what it was. So we're at 19 cards, all of which have been made by Ashton, who, just as a shout out, works incredibly hard to get these out. Anytime there's a big release, he's up until like 3 or 4 a.m. and then like goes to work an hour later, just so that we can get these out as quick as possible. So if you want spoilers as soon as possible, check out our Patreon. Joining at as low as the $1 level will get you access to everything that we make on TTS immediately. And if you don't want a Patreon, that's perfectly fine. All you got to do is wait 48 hours, and you'll get access to the proxies when it goes for a public release. All right, so we'll kind of get down. This video is just going to be overlooking everything here. So we'll start off with the battlefield, which is the Deathwatch hideout on Concordia, which is where Duchess Satine was found for most of the Clone Wars. And it has a claim ability to gain a resource, and you can spot Satine Craze, I think is how you say it, to place a card from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. So it has some anti-mill tech, and it has a slight feed ability with the ability to gain one resource. What do you think about it?
I think it has a setup as far as the claim ability, kind of how Theed should have been. It has that power action, of course, where you can gain a resource regardless of character in the deck. You just get that bonus of the neutral character. But I think had Theed been set up kind of how this was, where you have to spot something to make it a little less powerful, it would probably be used about as much as this one's going to get used, which will be like having Satine get that extra benefit.
Honestly, unless Theed gets hit, I don't think this is going to get used even in Satine decks. Because I think I'd rather run Theed and just get the resource during the gameplay.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So the characters are a brand new Obi-Wan. Let me fix that. All right, brand new Obi-Wan. He's our third one now.
Yeah.
This is the one that I've been looking for, which is the General from Clone Wars. He's got the 2 melee side, 3 melee for 1, 2 focus, 2 shield, and resource, of course, with the blink. His dice cost is 14 and 18. And he has a pretty good power action. Resolve one of your dice showing a value of 2 or more to increase its value by 1.
Yeah, his power action with his die sides is extremely good. It literally has 2 sides of the die that power action doesn't work on. I mean, who doesn't want... Imagine having, several upgrades and you can resolve that 2 focus to a 3 focus, or the 3 melee to a 4 melee, which is pretty gross.
Yeah, of course, obviously my mind immediately goes to using it on the damage, but like you just said, being able to use it on the focus to turn the rest of your dice to damage is ridiculous. And everybody that knows me knows that my blue hero dice don't like to roll, so it'll be helpful for me at least.
Yeah, you can use those focus and just get the damage you want anyways.
So I think that he's pretty good for his point cost. I'm going to have some fun with him once the set comes out. But I think the really big character here is going to be Satine. So she's a character leader, has 2 indirect, 1 focus, 1 resource, 2 resource for 1. And after you activate this character, you may reroll one of your dice. So I think that with her point cost, which is 8 and 10, she's going to be taking over the spot of the old Maz that's getting rotated out. I don't think that she's anywhere near as good as the old Maz, and I honestly think the only reason that she's seeing play is because of rotation.
Yeah.
But I think for her point cost to be so low, to like 10 points for an elite, the ability to start with 5 dice in the new meta is going to be so high. I think that's where a lot of players are going to go to starting out. What do you think about her?
I think she's good. I like the fact that she doesn't feel that complete extra void of point cost, because she's only 10 and the new Obi-Wan is 18, so you still have places for like double down or fortify, something that costs a 2, so you can still throw something extra in there versus them being like, here's your 18, here's your 12, and that's what you're sitting with. So she's at a good spot for 10 at an elite character, and 9 health isn't bad for a support character, but her ability is nice. Like Fortune was saying, where he doesn't like to roll damage, so you get that ability to fix that with Obi-Wan's ability and Satine's ability to reroll, kind of like the starter set Han had, where he can reroll a character or reroll a die.
Yeah, her ability is very reminiscent of the
it was the
two
Legacy
Hans
Han.
ago, the Legacy Han.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's definitely going to see play, especially considering that if you run her at only 1 dice, you still get her ability, and for 8 health you get, or 8 points you get 9 health.
Yeah,
so I mean,
who doesn't want the extra money? Focus sides, she even has a damage side. But focus sides those just come in handy a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So going off of what you said, running Elite Obi-Wan and Elite her still gives you room for a plot. So we get our plot in this deck is Force Flow. It's probably the worst card in the game. As an action, it's 2 character points. As an action, you can set this plot aside to turn a die to any side. You're never going to see this card actually played. I'm just going to point that out.
But what if you just say you go that whole game, that plot's just sitting there. At some point, your opponent's going to forget that plot. They're going to claim and think you have nothing else to do, and then you just say, I'm going to use my plot to turn to damage. Now you're going to hit them with whatever you just turned to, and you could potentially win a game with that if they forget about it.
Yeah, you could potentially win a game by turning a single die, but I'd rather use another 2-point plot in its place.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
But there could be a combo we're missing with the new set being out. We still have cards we haven't seen yet, but there could be something. I don't think it's horrible. Yeah. I've definitely seen worse cards.
At this point, we've seen 70%. More than that,
I would say more than that, actually. I'd say probably about 90.
No, nowhere near 90. It was 70% before the new Maz and Moxie came out, so we're slightly above 70% currently.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think this plot's ever going to get play. That's just my hot take on it. I could definitely be wrong. Feel free to prove me wrong in a couple of months. Come back and tell me on this video.
You know me. I'm the queen.
You'll be the first person to tell me I'm wrong.
I'm queen of unique. I love to do things differently. So I would definitely be willing to try.
All right. Well, there's Force Flow, and it is a blue-only plot, too. So that...
But it is neutral, so you can use it with villains.
Yeah, it's not even going to get used. We're moving on. All right. So we get the Republic Jedi Armor. This is an upgrade. 2 cost. It has a 1 focus, 1 shield, 2 shield, 2 shield for 1, and a 1 resource. After you play this upgrade on a Jedi, give it a shield. Attached character has +1 health. So I'm really happy with the +1 health and the shield. So for 2 cost, you're basically immediately getting 2 health.
Yeah.
It also plays into the theme that I'm seeing where Jedi are playing more into the theme of Blue Hero shield generation that it's always kind of tried to do but hasn't really had a chance to due to all the unblockable damage that's out there.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be a great card, especially for something like Qui-Gon decks. Throw it on him. Once you get him up to 3 shields, you can resolve the 2 shield side on your opponent, on your other character to immediately shield them up. It's just so good.
I like it. It's good, and like you were saying, Qui-Gon's a really good character to put it with. You could put a whole skills in the deck, and now you have a spot for this, the Jedi Armor, and then still your spots for your other upgrades as well. So you can still get the damage you want and keep his dice at a higher spot as well, so you can resolve for more damage or, whatever else it is you're looking for at the time.
Continuing to go with the Qui-Gon theme too, if you've got 3 shields on him, you could resolve a double focus or a double resource too.
Yeah.
So
true.
There's not really a bad side to this card other than the 2 shield for 1. I don't think that will ever get actually resolved unless it's a play that'll keep you alive.
Dire situation.
But yeah, I think this is definitely going to see play in a lot of Blue Hero decks. All right, next up is our reprint. It is our 3 cost lightsaber with redeploy, which is amazing. There aren't very many redeploy things anymore. Cycle the what's the word I'm looking for?
Rotation?
The rotation. Yeah. There we go. Rotation takes out a ton of ambush and redeploy weapons. So getting this lightsaber reprinted is kind of going to fill in that redeploy gap. So you all know lightsaber. It's a 3 cost, 3 for 1 plus 2 melee, 1 shield, 1 resource, and the special to deal 2 unblockable damage. Which unblockable damage is going to be super important. I have a theory that Blue Hero is going to be prevalent once rotation happens. So being able to deal unblockable damage is going to be big.
Especially when you have the treasure lightsaber that also deals unblockable. So Yoda with special chaining, still a thing.
But it's kind of like Blue Hero fighting Blue Hero at that point, because everything that does unblockable right now is lightsabers. So
yeah, that's very true.
All right, moving along, we got the Mandalorian Jetpack.
Yes.
It is a 2 cost for a die side of 2 indirect, 1 shield, 2 specials, and a blank. Reroll another die, then deal damage to a character equal to the value showing on that die for its special. What do you think about this one? I don't really know how to feel.
I'm thinking it could definitely be some good tech against Vader. Like, even if he rolls a 4, well, guess what? Now he's going to eat the 4.
That's true. Well, I mean, you're going to eat it as well, but
unless it's a 4. Well, I mean, if it's 4 for 1, if he has no money at the time, it could be a really good lifesaver to make him take damage, and then he can't resolve the damage.
That's very true. Isn't there an event that does the exact same thing? You reroll.
Talking about the Bewilder. Bewilder makes them reroll, but it makes them discard cards off the top of their deck.
No, I'm fairly certain there's one where your opponent takes damage based on what's showing already. I could be wrong,
but Cunning Ruse.
That's it. Yeah,
it's yellow villain.
So seeing this on a yellow neutral, with a special, so a 1 in 3 chance of getting that ability every turn is pretty strong. I don't know if it'll see play everywhere because it. I don't know.
The special is interesting. It definitely plays in with the theme of this deck, anyways, as far as having the option for shields, and then Satine herself being over the Mandalorians and everything. I like it. It's different from the other jetpack. I don't think it's horrible, but you're definitely not going to use that special on anything other than your opponent.
Yep, I can definitely agree with that. So we'll kind of move along to the Punch Dagger. This is a 1-cost upgrade, which we are definitely lacking, and I'm happy to see more of. It's got 2 blanks that you'd expect from a 1-cost upgrade for 1 melee, 2 melee for 1, 1 disrupt, and 1 resource. No other effects. It is kind of literally just...
It's there to help the Mandalorian Super Commandos.
That too, but it's also there to help decks that have resource problems.
Yeah.
So you can drop this, you can still use a mitigation card, and next turn you can override it for a better weapon.
That's very true.
It's going to do its job. I think that we'll see it probably about as much as we saw the DH-17 before rotation.
Yeah.
So not much, but...
Not a lot, but I mean, like I said, this Talzin and the Mandos, it works in really well.
Yeah, it is neutral, so it will definitely show up in the commando decks and just get that free damage out. It'll be horrible to see. All right, next up we have the Grievous Striker, which is in both Obi-Wan and General Grievous's deck, because it is Grievous's weapon, but Obi-Wan actually kills him with it in the movie. So it is unique. It's 1 range, 2 indirect, 2 indirect, 1 disrupt, 1 shield for 2 resource cost. It has redeploy, which I was just mentioning earlier is going to be big. To get another neutral weapon that's redeploy is great. I think actually most redeploy weapons after rotation are going to be blasters, if I'm remembering
correctly. There's a few lightsabers, like the Reprint, and then Rey's lightsaber is also redeploy.
Yeah, and Heirloom's also redeploy.
Only if it's on a blue character, though.
That's true, but I mean, you're going to be playing it on a blue character.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, after you play this upgrade on General Grievous or Obi-Wan Kenobi, you may deal 1 damage to a character. So it's 2 resources for guaranteed damage, and then 50% damage sides after that. I think it's pretty good. I definitely think it's going to see play in anything that runs ranged.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would definitely consider playing it, because it's nice to have that weapon for redeploy, like you were saying, because we're losing a lot of that stuff that has the redeploy. There's very few weapons, so to play some weapons that don't have redeploy and then maybe overwrite for that, just to keep a weapon that you might not lose when a character is about to die, is nice to have.
So I think that it's going to see guaranteed play in any General Grievous deck. I think that it's going to see possible play in Obi-Wan decks, because just getting that free damage when you play it's great. I honestly think that it's going to see play in every single blaster deck, just because it's a 2-cost with redeploy.
Well, I mean, I'm planning on keeping my Rex Kira deck together, so it's definitely an option for me to replace some of the weapons I'm going to be losing from rotation.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we both think that's a great card. Moving on to the next one is Obi-Wan Kenobi's Interceptor. This one is a 3-cost support for 2 range, 3 range for 1, 3 indirect, 1 shield, 1 resource blank. And after you activate the support, you may spot an Obi-Wan Kenobi to turn one of your dice showing a blank to any side. Great for me, because my dice never roll anything but blanks. It doesn't seem that amazing of a support, especially at the 3-cost range. I don't think it's really going to see any play, even in Obi-Wan decks, honestly.
I feel like it's another one of the vehicles that just won't see play with the character it fits to, because there's so many vehicles that go with the character, but you don't ever see it with that character. You always see it just in a vehicle deck, like Grievous's Solar Sailor and Plo Koon's
Dooku's Solar Sailor.
Dooku, thank you. And then, well, also Grievous's Willbite, but a lot of them have vehicles, but they don't play them with those characters. They're played in decks with characters that work with vehicles.
Right.
So I feel like it's not terrible. It does have good, I think it has some decent damage sides. But it's nice to see another blue vehicle, because there just aren't a lot of them.
Right. I definitely agree with that. They're pretty much all E2A interceptors. But hey, I mean, blue is the Jedi color, and all of their ships are the support, so I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
All right, going on to the last support in the deck, we have Seeking the Truth. Is 1 cost. Action, exhaust this support to reroll one of your dice. Then you may spot a leader to reroll a die, yours or an opponent's. So in this deck, I think both characters are leaders. No, he's just a Jedi, so Satine's the leader. So this is a yellow cost. I see it being not really used at all. It is potential mitigation on your opponent for free. But we already kind of have some supports down that do the same thing, just on your dice only, and those don't really ever see play, at least not competitively.
Yeah, it's definitely something you'd want to see early, because you have that ability to have that extra part of it where you spot Satine, because if you're playing it in this deck, then you need that leader, because if she's dead, then you only have that first half. It's not terrible for a 1 cost. At least 1 cost isn't bad.
Yeah, I could see it seeing play in Satine decks specifically, because it does give you that free mitigation.
I mean, there's other characters that are leaders, but as an example, as far as like if you only have 1 character in the deck that's a leader, it's a card you'd want to look for early to get the best value out of it.
Very true. And the more rerolls that you get out of it, the easier it'll be to think that you've paid for it.
I mean, it could be some good tech against big characters, like we were talking about. Vader is still going to be a big threat, I think.
Yeah.
Regardless, because he's so strong. So any kind of tech you can get against Vader that doesn't remove his dice but potentially fixes his damage, I think is pretty good.
All right, moving on to the next one. We're going into events now. We're starting with blue. First one is a 0 cost event, Upper Hand. Play only if you have 1 or more dice showing a value of 2 or more. Remove a die showing a value of 0. Blanks and specials have a value of 0, of course, being the reminder text. So I think that this gets played with blue hero decks, obviously, and a lot of blue heroes, all the ones that get really played, have massive sides.
Yep.
Most of their Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon. So this is kind of a free, immediate mitigation against special decks, or against a deck that just happens to not be rolling hot. I think this is going to see some play. We're seeing a lot of the good mitigation removed, and a lot of low-cost mitigation has a lot of requirements on it now.
Yes.
So the only requirement on this one being that it has to remove a die that's showing a special or a blank. I mean, I still think that's fine. So we're definitely going to see some of this.
But you do have to have, well, it technically has 2 requirements, because you got to have that higher value roll, and then you got to have that low value roll on them to get rid of it.
That's true.
So, pretty much if you're not running blue here, I wouldn't even consider this card. Like,
well, if you're not running blue hero,
you can't play it, but like, depending on the blue hero you're playing.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't want to run Ahsoka with low side, the new Ahsoka, and then some other character.
Yeah,
and
you wouldn't want to run it with Yoda being your only, like...
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving on, we have Defensive Stance, another reprint.
I love this art.
1 cost, give a character 2 shields. It's good.
I love the Ahsoka art.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see a lot of Ahsoka theme in this deck. Or not in this deck, but in this set as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, spoilers. A friend lost. Play only if you have 1 or more defeated unique characters. It costs 1. Turn up to 2 of your dice to sides showing damage. So Satine dies. Guess what? Now you get to throw Obi-Wan's die at max damage because he's raging out. I think it'll definitely see play.
It's not terrible. That's kind of definitely a clutch card because you're looking at one of your characters being dead.
It's definitely one of those cards that has a very specific, you have to draw into it late game, which is bad. And it's 1 cost. So like I said, I think that it'll see play, but I don't think that it'll be an auto include.
Yeah, it's going to be it's more of a very situational, like you need to catch your opponent with no mitigation, so that way it's like guaranteed damage at that point. So that way you're not wasting a resource to turn your dice and then they get rid of them anyways.
Pause. All right, so next up we got Use the Force. More reprints. Spot a blue character to turn a die to any side. Costs 1.
I like that. I'm pretty sure it's still the same character that's on the art, just different art.
He looks like he's almost got a katana the way that it's kind of...
the way he's kind of holding it.
Yeah.
I like the art on this one a little bit better. I just like the close-up when they put a close-up on a character versus the old one where it's kind of distant and he's using the Force. But I don't know. I like a lot of the art they're using now.
He's going all Spider-Man too, so it's not bad.
I mean, using the Force.
There you go. All right. It's an alright card. I don't think it'll see a lot of play. Just turning a single die leaves you open to easy mitigation on your next turn.
Vader tech. There's a lot of Vader tech with these blue hero cards where you can just turn his dice.
Yeah.
Anything that just turns his dice is a lot better for you than trying to remove and him roll it back in. Here's 4 more damage.
Anything that turns Vader's dice is a good idea. All right, so next up is a 2-cost Channel the Force. Reroll a die. You may spot a leader to turn a die to any side, and you may spot a Jedi to remove a die. So you get to reroll a die, turn a die, and remove a die. This is basically a 2-cost Beguile.
Yeah.
As long as you have the leader,
and the Jedi, pretty much.
So I think this would 100% see play in any deck that can actually get access to all 3 of its abilities. This is going to be in that deck.
It's just nice because it's maze. So it's not like you have to do this, you have to do this. It's you may do this, you may do this. So it's not super situational. It's just better if you have those options.
Very true.
But you can still do as much as you can, which is nice.
All right, moving on to the yellow events. We've got Draw Attention. 0 cost. Move up to 2 damage from one of your characters to another one of your characters. This ignores shields. So this is basically like...
It's the one that had Finn on it. From Draw Attention, where he's got the lightsaber in his hands.
Oh, was it called the same? Is it this a reprint?
It's a reprint.
I knew it was the exact same ability, but I thought that it had a different name.
The art was Finn holding the saber, looking very serious.
Yeah.
But I love this art way more.
Yeah, this art's a lot better. Well, there you go. There's a reprint. There are definitely decks that'll play this card, but I doubt that it'll see more play than we've seen in the past.
It's kind of like the early version of Dangerous Maneuver.
That's the card I was thinking of, because that's the one that removes 2 and you deal indirect.
You deal it in indirect instead. But this one's like the earlier version of it, where you kind of just move, where you're moving your damage around, ignoring shields. Dangerous Maneuver doesn't ignore shields, but I still think it's good. It would be really good if you're playing L3 and you're trying to get her off the board. You're like, here, I'll just move this damage to her and put her on my vehicle now. Yep.
As I like to say to every one of my meat shield characters in a deck where I'm throwing indirect on them and only them, fuck L3. Just let her die. All right. Next up is a reprint for Truce. Super happy to see this again. Ambush. Each player gains a resource. Speaks for itself. It'll be in pretty much every yellow deck.
And you thought the same thing I did about it as far as the art goes.
Yeah, that is directly from the Clone Wars cartoon movie.
Yep. I love it.
They're giving Jabba his son back. Do you remember what Stinky? They called him Stinky?
Yeah, they called him Stinky.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Calculated risk, 0 cost. Reroll a die. Then, if that die is showing a value of 2 or more, gain a resource. So really good in combination with blue heroes to get those big die size we were talking about.
Use that thing on Nest.
Use that thing on Enfys Nest. Use it on Vader's die. Because if you're going to take 4 damage, you may as well re-roll it. And
I was about to say, yeah, because it's any die, so that's not bad.
Yeah, and then gain a resource if it rolls back on the 4, Why not?
And be like, you get no money, I'll take the money instead.
All right, we got another reprint with Unpredictable. I do like that their reprints, a lot of their reprints that have been spoiled are in the starter decks. So
yeah, this one has a lot of reprints.
Hopefully that means that we don't get them out of the booster packs.
We shouldn't, because usually the numbers flow in with it.
Yeah. So anyways, Unpredictable, 0 cost, ambush, reroll a die, yours or your opponent's. It's alright. It'll see some play. It's not meta-defining or anything, though.
Just ambush right into that damage you needed.
Yeah, ambush into the 4-for-1 on Vader and just... Alright, next up is our gray events, starting at 0 cost with Electromagnetic Pulse. You get to just straight up remove a droid or vehicle die. So...
There's a lot of droids in this new set, though.
This continues following along with mitigation, low-cost mitigation having to have a lot of requirements. It's 0 cost to just remove a die, but that die has to be droid or vehicle. But like you just said, droids are going to be showing up a lot. I think Afro is going to be a top-tier deck. I personally think that 2 of the top archetypes of decks that we're going to see are vehicle reset decks and Vader's Fist decks, which Vader's Fist isn't a vehicle, but they can generally run vehicles as well. So anything that removes droid and vehicle decks, I think, is going to be really big, at least at the start of the meta.
No, I can completely agree. I definitely see Afro having a lot more play coming up for this new set.
Completely. So having this, and it removes droid dice too. So like all these new droid characters, their dies are just immediately thrown out.
Yeah, because Grievous is a droid too, correct?
I believe so,
him one.
All right, next up is Unshackle. This is a great card. I love it. It's 1 cost, and it discards a downgrade from play with Ambush. So not every downgrade that we've seen has been amazing, but the really strong ones, like Mind Probe or whatever it's called. Mind
Extraction?
Extraction.
I think that's what it is.
Being able to drop that one out, being able to get rid of Wounded and things like that is going to be really nice. I'm glad that we have a way to remove those cards from your characters.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be very situational until after we see kind of where the meta is going to go with this new set comes out and rotation hits with everything. just to kind of see how many downgrades people really are going to be playing. Like, if we don't really see it coming up a lot in decks, then you may not see people using this card a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if no one plays downgrades, there's no reason to play this. But
exactly.
It's kind of like playing block in a meta of vehicles. You know,
yeah,
nobody's running melee dice. Why run that defense?
Why run that card? Yeah, exactly.
All right, and the last card of the 19 that we have from the set is
Opposite
a 2-cost dodge. Reprint, remove all of an opponent's dice showing range damage.
It pretty much speaks for itself.
Yep. Probably never going to get used, but it's nice to have.
It didn't really get used before.
And I do want to point out that I like that both of these decks were really meant to combat each other, because I believe that block is in the General Grievous one. So like it counters the melee attacks from here. This counters the ranged attacks from Grievous. This one has stuff that removes droid die, etc. So I think that's really cool that both the decks are kind of thematic against each other.
Yeah, they set it up really well as far as like somebody who wants to just be new, that's new into the game, learning how to play. It's a really good way to play. They're not full decks, but it still gives you an idea of how cards can be made to really combat another card. So it kind of gives you that idea with how both go against each other pretty much, and how they kind of counter each other. It's kind of the same way people play when they're building decks for tournaments. A lot of people will try to tech cards in to go against certain other decks or certain other cards. So it kind of plays out the same way.
Very true. All right, so thoughts on the starter deck as a whole?
I like it. I like how it all flows together, and a lot of the cards will still flow outside of the starter deck into building decks with the new set and everything. So I think it's good.
All right, I think I agree. Like I was literally just saying, the following the theme, making the two decks work against each other is great. I definitely think that FFG does a great job of making starter sets with cards that you want, so that like they're not just a dead $15 when you spend it. You're never going to use the cards.
Yeah, exactly.
I do really wish that they'd get on the ball and actually give us whole decks instead of 20 cards, but you know,
yeah,
I'll take what I can get, I guess.
I mean, I kind of get where they're coming from with it. It's like, here, buy this deck, but I still need you to buy packs. So, I mean, you know, I get it. They still want you to spend money on it. We're going to spend money on it anyways because we love the game. That's what we do.
I've got like $500 worth of stuff pre-ordered. Don't even get me started.
Dear God, I got like 3. Let's not talk about it. But
anyway, guys.
Anyways, no, I do want to shout, like, I do want to throw this out there real quick. I love the name of the battlefield in this. Not necessarily like, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but our local group here is actually the Dothan Death Watch for our local group, for our people. So I just love that they made a Death Watch card.
That's right. This
so
will definitely be focused in any of our
we may have to make a
posters,
a tournament, small little tournament with us for you have to use this battlefield.
There you go. Perfect. But all right, guys, thank you for joining us. We're going to have another video coming out soon doing the exact same thing for the General Grievous deck. Yeah. And we're also going to have a video following that where we play the decks. I'm probably going to take Obi-Wan because screw you, I play Blue Heroes.
Of course.
And we'll have all of that coming up soon, so we'll see you all there.
See ya.